Hello, it's cold, wet and raining again. So you're driving and you blow out your wheel bearings and destroy your spindle. Now you got to take your kingpin out and put a new spindle on there. So this is kind of what it looks like on a Dodge B2B. And what you want to do is you want to disconnect your brake line, the rubber brake line, and you want to start taking it apart. And these Zerk fittings you don't need to take off. Leave those on. There's one on this side, there's one on the other side. You're basically going to take these two bolts out, and that'll release your backing plate. As far as taking the brake drum off, you're taking the cap off and the crown bolt off the spindle and slide everything out. Now the brake drum could be tough to take off. Usually I just use a couple screwdrivers and get it loose and pull it off. And then you take a socket, and that's about the size of the kingpin, and you knock the kingpin down. It's too cold and wet out here to take that one apart, so I already took one apart, and I'll show you all the components on it. Well, basically, here's my little demonstration setup. So you take the cap off, the grease cap off, and you're going to take the cotter pin out. Then you're going to take off the crown nut and take that off. And you take the washer out like that, and then you're going to wiggle around until you can take off this front wheel bearing. At that point, you're going to take these out, and I actually believe they're on the back, the backing plate, but you'll see them in either event, and this will help release the backing plate. I already said that. I don't edit my stuff because it takes too much time, and you guys just want to look at this stuff and learn from it. So why be a producer? Just show this stuff. So I put a crescent wrench on here. I don't know if you see the shape of what these look like. That's what they look like. I put a crescent wrench on them, and then you take the two back bolts out. They have cotter pins too. Take them out like that, and I'm going to leave them on there because they help this thing stand. And of course, the wheel bearing comes out, and the cup comes out. You're getting close to the spindle that you want. Now, there's a retaining bolt that looks like this. Let's see if I can get all this stuff out of the way. Retaining bolt that looks like that. There's two. One's kind of football shaped like a washer, and sometimes they break. And you only have half a football there. This is the main one though here, and you got to push this tab down out of the way and to spin this out, and that's what's helping hold your kingpin in. I have the other one over here loose, so I'll pull it out and show you what it looks like. See, I push this tab back right here just with a screwdriver. I mean, it's not real tough. And you take it out, and then you can see this. There's only half of it left right here, and it's got a hole in it, which exposes that hole right there, which I've always considered to be a weep hole for the grease, because the grease is going to come in with the bushings that are on the spindle. And talk about that here. See if I can get enough reflection in there. Those are your bushings that are in there. Let me get a cotter pin and use that as a pointer. As you look in there, you find the ridge. That's where the ridge of it is, right there, where the bushing is. And inside, if you can see in there, there's an oblique groove that goes around the inside. You can kind of see it. If I push right in there, it'll. So now it's focusing on the other side, isn't it? The Zerk fitting, there's an opening for it in that bushing. So when you drive that new bushing in, if you're going to go that route and tap in a new bushing, because when you buy a kit, they usually come with the pair of bushings for the upper lower part of the spindle. You can see where the Zerk fitting is there, Zerk fitting's there, and you kind of want it to line up so the grease actually goes where it's supposed to. Then, at that point, there's caps. These caps right here are pressed in like that. A little bit more, a little deeper than that. Again, a little screwdriver. I'm able to tap on them until they're released. I just kind of pry them off like that. I usually just pry the top one off. There is a bottom one that goes on under there, but because it's just a press-in fit, when I tap on the kingpin, it'll pop that out, so I don't have to get under there and try and get it. The way I do it, this kingpin is all the way in there, and I take this is my kingpin driver. It's an old socket, and that old socket is just smaller than the kingpin, and fits and just falls right through. That's how you know if you got the right socket to do the job, because it just falls right through. But it fills up the space, so it's not making a mess of things. Would this mushroom the top of that kingpin? I don't think so. And how do I know that? Because I hit it with this BFH right here. That's a steel handle. That's a that's a pretty heavy hand sledge there, and I tap it. I don't beat the crap out of it. I just tap it until it moves and keep going with it. And then when that socket gets a little deeper, I'll hit it with my other punch. This is the top of the kingpin where it was getting hit with those things. Here's the bottom. It's not crushed. It's not mushroomed. Just so you know that these things can take some hits. With your kit, you get a new one. Depending on the kit that you get, if you ream these out, just like when you do cylinders in an engine, you can ream them out. So you got to get different sizes. You probably go to machine shop at that point to get a 10 over, whatever it's going to be, to get it fitted in there. And so when you put it back together, this is the bearing, cup that goes on the bottom of these things. It sits right there, like that, on the bottom. I usually put, the cap side down. Let me see, look at it. See if I get better light on this thing. You can see that's rotating right there. And I put this side down. So this whole cup side is on the top. I only do that because I figure that the rain, the muck, or the mud stays out of those bearings in that configuration. Goes like that. Your pin drops in there. And then there can't be any movement like this. I mean, you can't move back and forth like that. It's got to be, rock solid. So you're going to get a set of shims like this, little tiny shims, Put them on top, or you put them on top of this, however you want to do it. The whole point is to keep it from moving. I would suggest putting it on here because it's easier to keep track of. In fact, I don't even know of anybody who puts them up on top, but you never know. You put them down there, and then you start, you know, you put a lot of grease on it, you know, and hook it up to the axle, and then drop your pin, and tap your pin in, and then you cinch it up. Then at that point, you put your caps on, and you can start putting all the rest of it together, putting the backing plate. So a buddy of mine, he saw my ad on Craigslist for parts. He figured it was me. So he gave me a call, and so I pulled this for him. And I'm going to send him as much as I can, and he'll use what he needs and get his truck back on the road. Sounds to me like like this dried up, fell apart on him, and just kind of destroyed the end of the spindle. So I'll send him the kingpin and everything, and so he doesn't have to, you know, ask for extra this or that. Funny thing was, I went on eBay and I saw some of these for like 20 bucks. Holy cow. So don't lose that. I didn't check on the other parts, but you know, that's I mean, I saw them for cheaper too, but the fact that there were some guys that wanted 20 bucks, that's crazy. Yeah, this video is dated 4/21. I think it's 4/21/2016. So you can check me on that. All right, hope that helps you out. And if you're broken and need to get back on the road and you have to do this part of it, I wish you luck, and I hope this helps.